Today we're talking about word problems with systems of linear equations, not inequalities, equations. So yesterday we just talked about solving systems of equations. Today you're going to have to write the equation plus solve the equation. It's going to be exciting, so just wait. Okay. So we're just going to read through it and see what happens. Tickets to a local movie were sold $4 for adults. So what I always do is kind of underline the important stuff. So we know that it's $4 for adults, or highlight, whichever you prefer, and $2.50 for students. Okay, notice both of those we're talking about what? Money and price. Okay, money. Okay, then it says 430 tickets. I'm going to kind of do this in a different color because this is not talking about money. 430 tickets were sold for a total of $1,210. I'm going back to this color again because it's dealing with money again. Or you could like underline and circle the different things. So when you're writing equations, you always need two equations because you're dealing with two variables. Okay? One of your equations is going to be dealing with money, and the other one is going to be dealing with something that is not money. I personally always like working with X and Y because when I write like S's or O's, I forget if it's an O or a 0 and I mess myself up. You can do whatever you want, but so what I usually do to the side is I'm going to put adults equals X and students equal Y. And again, that's up to you. If you don't want to do that, you do not have to. So let's try writing our money equation. Who thinks they know how to write the money equation? Good, you're close. You're going to keep it how it was though. So you're going to do for $4, you're going to do 4x plus 2.5y equals our 1,210. So I did my $4 for adults, my $2.50 for students, and all of the money will equal $1,210. Now this one is dealing with tickets. So if you think about it, however many adult tickets, for finding out money, however many adult tickets, you'd multiply by 4 to get the money amount, right? So that means when you're doing how many tickets are sold, it's just going to be X plus Y equals 430 tickets. Because this is just how many students are there, or how many adults plus how many students equals the 430 people, or 430 tickets. And then it says how many of each type of ticket were sold. So that means we have to find the X and Y value. So which one would you guys like to get rid of, the X's or the Y's?
The X's.
Okay, so if we get rid of the X's, what am I going to have to do?
You're going to have to divide by -4.
Good. Multiply the bottom by -4 is correct. So I'm going to rewrite the top equation. I have 4x plus 2.5y equals 1,210. And then on the bottom, we multiply by -4, and we get -4x minus 4y equals, and when we multiply -4 times 430, it is negative
1,740.
Perfect, good job. Okay, so we go ahead and add down here. My x's cancel. Good, negative 1.5y, because we subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. And then this will be negative 510.
Whoa.
Yes.
When you said negative 1.5, how did you get that if it's 2.5 and 4?
You subtract.
Yeah.
So to the side here, you can always make 4 a decimal. You can go 4.0 minus 2.5. You have to borrow.
Got it.
Okay. And we take the sign of the bigger number. It's okay. You can ask me any question. All right. So then in order to get rid of the negative 1.5, what do I do?
Divide by negative 1.5.
Very good. Divide by negative 1.5. to both sides. And we get y equals, two negatives make a
Positive.
positive, and if you divide there, you end up getting 340. If you were to do long division, you would go 1.5 goes into 510. You have to move this decimal once, so you move this decimal once. 15 goes into 51 3 times, which is 45. 6 left over, bring down the 0, and it goes in 4 times, which is 60, and then it goes in 0 times. Okay. All right, so which equation do you think is easiest to plug back in to get your x value?
X plus y equals 430.
Yes, you are right. So we'll go ahead and take that and plug it in.
X plus 340.
Good, and we get x plus 340 equals 430. You subtract 340 to both sides, and we find that x equals 90. Okay. So then what I normally do, because this isn't really necessarily ordered pairs, because we know the adults is X, so that means that there were 90 adult tickets sold, and for the students there were 340. And so I normally will go up and write my answers with what each of the things I was finding are. Okay?
Got it.
Okay. Are you guys ready for example 2, or are there any questions still on example 1?
Now,
Okay. Example 2. A fruit stand sold 16 pieces of fruit. So this is not dealing with money, but so we have 16 pieces of fruit for $7.30. This time I'm just going to circle my dollars, I guess. However you do it is fine. They sold apples for 50 cents. And then and oranges for 40 cents each. How many of each kind did they sell? Okay, so what are my two variables this time? Well, wait a second, my variables. What are, like last time I was finding students and adults, this time I have apples and oranges. So you can use A and O. O is one that always messes me up. So I'm going to write apples as X, and I'm going to do oranges as Y. If I can spell oranges.
ORANGES.
Thank you. Okay. So from there, now we have a money equation and an equation that isn't dealing with money. So let's start with my money equation. What will I write for my money equation?
0.50.
Good, 0.5x, because we don't have to have the 0, okay? So 0.5x plus the oranges is 0.4y equals, and the total money that they collected was $7.30, or you could write that as 7.3 or 7.30, totally up to you. Okay, what's going to be my equation that doesn't have money?
X plus y equals 16.
Perfect. Okay, x plus y equals 16. Now, do you guys want to get rid of the decimals? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't want to, you don't have to. I heard more yeses than nos though, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the decimals. So what would I need to multiply the first equation by to get rid of the decimals? 10, okay? So when I do that, I end up moving each one of these decimals to make 5x plus 4y equals 73. And do we want to get rid of our x's or our y's? The y's? Okay, so I'm going to multiply this equation by what in order to get rid of the y's? Okay, negative 4. So we get negative 4x minus 4y equals negative, and then 16 times 4 is? Perfect, 64 is correct. So the y's cancel. What is 5x minus 4x?
X.
X. And 73 minus 64 is? 9. Okay, and then now that I have this answer,
Plug it into X plus
Exactly. So we have 9 plus y equals 16. Subtract 9 to both sides, and we find that y equals 7. So my apples was my x, so that was, there were 9 apples sold and 7 oranges sold. What do you guys think? A little bit easier than you had anticipated originally? As long as you kind of put money with money and like circle the things, it's usually pretty easy to set up your equations, I think. All right, are we ready for example 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so example 3, we're dealing with more money here again. In this problem, we have Butterfingers and Snickers.
Here, have one.
So I'm going to put Butterfinger equals x and Snickers equals y. And I just want you to try to set this equation up. Write your 2 equations. Don't solve it. And once you write them, could you show them to me on your whiteboards? Perfect. Good job. Perfect. Good job. Great. Perfect. Good. Perfect. Good. Perfect. 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 Great. Good. Great. Throw it away. There's a trash can like kind of right back there if you want to throw it in there. Good job. Good. All right, so it looks like perfect. Good. Most of you got it. Your 2 equations, if we went through here, there was 26 candy bars for a total of $35.25. Butterfingers were $1.25. Snickers were $1.50. So as we go through there to write your equations, you guys wrote your money equation as 1.25x plus 1.5y equals 35.25. And then the equation with just the candy bars, no money, was x plus y equals 26. Okay, if you want to get rid of your decimals on this one, what would you have to multiply each of these by? By 100, because there's 2 decimal places on some of them, aren't there?
Yeah.
So when we move each of these twice, that's going to make that a 150, right? So I'm going to have 125x plus 150y equals 3525. And then again, it wants to know how many of each kind did they sell. Do you guys think you can finish this one on your own? The numbers are too big. Let's go ahead and get rid of the x's. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
So what would I multiply by in order to get rid of the x's?
120, negative 120.
Very good. Multiply by negative 125. So we get negative 125x minus 125y equals, and negative 125 times 26 is Negative 3,250. So we go through here. These cancel. We have 25y equals, this is 5, we have to borrow, this is 7 and 2, 275. We divide by 25 to both sides. And how many 25s are in 275? 11. Because in 100 there's 4. Since there's 200, that's 8 plus an additional 3 makes 11. Do you guys get how I did that in my head? Okay. So y is 11. So then we take that. We plug it in for y right there. So we have x plus 11 equals 26. Subtract 11, and we have x equals 15. So that means that Butterfingers are 15 and Snickers are 11. What? I know, I would agree Snickers are better. I know, it's surprising results. Okay. Are we ready for 4?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Jeremy cashed a check for $470, cashed a $470 check, and received $20 bills and $50 bills. He received a total of 13 bills. How many of each type of bill did he receive? This is, again, why it's important to use X and Y's, I think. So we have a $20 bill, so I'm going to put a $20 bill equals X, and a $50 bill equals Y. Okay, so we have a $470 check. We have $20 bill and a $50 bill, and then we have 13 bills. So write your two equations again on your whiteboards. I'd like to see them. Perfect. Good, good, good. Okay, once you have the answers, go ahead and try solving them. Good. Perfect. 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 And then once you get your answers, if you want to show them to me on your whiteboard as well, I can tell you you're right or wrong. Perfect, good. Perfect, good. So I'm going to go ahead and write the equations. Your equations, if you haven't gotten them, should have been 20x plus 50y equals 470. I'm not going to solve it yet. And then x plus y equals 13. So those should have been your two equations. And if you can go ahead and try to solve. Yes. Good job, Good job. You got it. I can see this group's work, some of you, depending on how neat you write. Perfect. Good job.
I'm just like a
I know. It's not too bad.
It's not such a big one.
Oh, there it is. Yes, good. Good.
This one?
Perfect.
That's police highlighted.
Yes. All right. So it looks like most of you, the correct answers were 6 and 7. So a lot of you multiplied this bottom equation by 20. So when you write the equations, you would have 20x plus 50y equals 470. And then negative 20x minus 20y equals negative 260. So these cancel out. 30y equals 210. Divide by 30. And you guys know the shortcut was zeros, right? So if you have 2 zeros at the end, the zeros go away. And 21 divided by 3 is 7. So we have y equals 7. We take that, plug it in here for y. X plus 7 equals 13. Subtract 7. And we find that x equals 6. So 6 for 20s and 7 for 50s. Any questions